work. They forget in the market, Google and Microsoft offer so many free help. So that's why when I became a president, I formed this group. I asked our partner, Google, do you want to lead this project to help all the charity here in London to provide a free service advisory and tell them what's in the market. So that's how we start.
Great, all right, we're going to dive straight into question number one, thank you. So the first question is, can everyone hear me at the back, by the way?
Yeah.
My voice loud enough, so we don't have microphones. Rotary Tech for Good highlights the importance of human-centered design in Tech for Good projects. In your experience, what are the most common pitfalls organizations encounter when trying to implement this principle, and how can they be avoided to ensure programs truly serve the needs of the community?
I can get started. So, real pleasure to see everyone here. Some of the people here are actually members and volunteers and advisors in the program. It's a real privilege to see all of you. Mansha as well. Okay, please. Okay, all right.
There it is.
couldn't see. Thank you for kicking off the project management course. One of the things that we looked at when we started the program and started thinking about how should we package it and do it and organize it. We started with the assumption that Rotary helps a lot of charities through the things that we heard from the other organizations as well. The network is very influential, it's very respected, have a great reputation, and we are able to also do fundraising and able to put boots on the ground and help. But every single dollar that we give to a charity now faces a challenge. The world is changing, technology is changing, big organizations or regular companies. Of course, it's changing and impacting charities as well. By 2028, there was a study in the US, and all of the 60% of traditional donors will be replaced by millennials. So fundraising right now, it's changing tremendously, and the charities that we give to need to be empowered by technology to not be left behind. Otherwise, their amazing work will not be heard. With Lepra, I was not surprised. I had no idea that things are so bad. Okay? But at surface, there is a gap in communication and awareness. How can we tap into today's tools, into artificial intelligence, and into the opportunities that we have to help an organization like Lepra and others to scale their impact? Because then every dollar that Rotary contributes to those charities will scale. Otherwise, the dollar goes in, gets spent, and that's it. That's where it stops. That's the opportunity that technology brings. But the needs for each of those charities differ. Their maturity level is different. So you mentioned human design centric. One thing we're doing with this pilot, it's a pilot, it's the first edition of the program, and then we seek to scale it. The thing we focused on is understanding how to best engage each of the charities. How do we assess what they really need? And how do we match the talent that Rotary and Rotaract has with the specific NGOs? The model that we are creating can scale, but this is really getting the feedback, testing and piloting in order to have a program that really fits the need of the charities that we work with is the primary directive for this year. And every single one of the volunteers have been, and Silvio and Paul have developed new content tailored to what they've learned from the charities, tailored to what Rotarians and Rotaractors can offer. And that's how we make it centric to this use case.
Anything you'd like to add to that?
For me, I think most of the charity, even the basic tools, they even don't know they can be using like the modern tools and market got so many free tools they can use. Only themselves, the productivity, they already ignore because day to day they may be still using a lot of paper, a lot of something they cannot digital record. So for example, donor information. So for this, I think not just talk about tech can helping them to impact the community, only themselves. I think that's what we start.
Very good. Sophia.
I think there are two keywords here: trust and empowerment. When it's about using technologies, we should look at technologies not as something that we need to use, but something that responds to a meaningful question and expands our abilities. So in the same way a phone expands our ability to communicate, or a microphone to make our voice louder, literally louder, a technology can amplify our capacity to make change. But in order to have that capacity to make change, we need the right story. Now, I've been involved in hundreds of urban planning projects, I work with space agencies, I work in very complex projects with neuroscientists, with architects, but the common denominator, the major blocker, was not having necessarily the right technology or data, but understanding what is the story, what is your vision, what do you want to reach. And part of this project, what was very valuable actually was helping them help themselves to understand what is the story they're aiming at, seeing themselves as the mentor in that story, not the hero. The hero is the cause they're serving. And what are the tools they can create and use to make a successful story. And another thing that is very important when using the right tech and tools is using them in the way that you can look the future in the eyes and can say, I can shape you. And that is very important for them to be confident that working together, augmented by tools as an ally, they can solve real world problems and be able to even replicate that further.
Okay, very good. So I think to sum up that topic of human-centered design, we're talking about technology plays a huge role in these programs, but it's to truly serve the community with these programs. To Sylvia's point, what's the story that we're telling? What's that brand story? How are we reaching people? How are we serving their needs? Okay, number two, this topic's around sustainability and long-term impacts. Rotary Tech for Good emphasises sustainability and long-term impact. How do you measure the success of a technology program beyond its initial implementation? And what strategies do you believe are most effective for fostering lasting change within communities? Who wants to go first? I picked on Diana first last time. Candy, you have
Okay.
sustainability. Sustainability, long-term impact.
So I think when we're starting to provide our service and advisory, they can start to measure how much like a productivity they will gain. So during all this, even let them to learn, they need to measure, they need to be analyzed the data daily they capture. So I think this is a very good exercise to let the charity know nowadays data is so important, not just the data for the donor, also the data by themselves as well. So I think this exercise, we will capture all this data to measure about the productivity and also the gain. But I think Sylvie, you will got more really tangible data can capture. Right?
Yes, so I think what is very important in this program is the capacity to be replicable and also to evolve in time. Very often when there is an initiative and you want to do anything perfect, just by focusing on kind of perfectionism of it, you're kind of creating a blocker. You'll never start. And I think it's kind of those projects that it has a lot of capacity and a lot of potential, and it had to start by starting. And a lot of the things we are building, actually, sometimes we learn by doing. And being able to understand how things can be improved over time and how they can be replicated and adapted is very important. But what we create now is actually a recipe. And that recipe, like any food recipe, can be then improved by other clubs or by other initiatives and can be replicated, and something good can evolve from that. Because technology is evolving, the world is evolving, the people are changing as well.
I think, so to Candy's point, measurement is really important, and we both come from technology giants, and measurement is absolutely critical. To Sylvia's point, we thought about it from the beginning, how can we make this replicable? I used the word pilot before, and I used it intentional, because we started with a framework in mind. First, we said, let's build Rotary capabilities. you've also run workshops first for our advisors. So transformation starts from within. The advisors and volunteers that join the program themselves go through either dedicated workshops or the workshops that we do for the charities. That's step number one. Step number two, building replicable assets. I think that's what you are alluding to, Sylvia. We don't know exactly on each topic what's the most recent or better content, but all the advisors are putting their DNA on it and creating new content. We have a workshop coming up. I was just chatting with someone in the room on fundraising tools, somebody else on cybersecurity. So we're actually harnessing the talent within Rotary, and with them we're co-creating assets that then we can redeploy with the future in other areas or with future editions of the program. So that's number two, reusable assets. The third piece is building a community. I've come to learn, I haven't been only a couple of years in Rotary, and I've come to learn that sometimes communication needs sparks because there is this impressive kind of maybe sobriety, or I don't know how to say, it's a very respectable and very, how do you say, I can't find the word. Many people in Rotary are just inspiring, and sometimes young people, Rotaractians, share that they're even not humbled to go and engage. This program provides a platform for them to engage because we match Rotarians with Rotaract and the charities. So almost for every charity, the ambition is to have one senior experienced person and then people that Rotaracts that have Rotaractians that have more experience and familiarity with new technology tools. And then the fourth piece is we're engaging more broadly the community and the clubs, make sure that this can scale further. And that's how you ensure sustainability. It's not about a person or a club, it's about a movement.
Fantastic. So in summary there, what I'm hearing is it's about having methodologies, measurements really important, and data. To Sylvia's point, it's also about having flexibility, and we're also bridging the gap, which leads me quite neatly onto the third question. Digital divide remains a significant barrier to equitable access to technology. What innovative approaches have you seen or implemented to bridge this gap, particularly in reaching underserved or marginalised communities? To Diana's point. Do you want to pick that up? Because I think that's a nice segue straight into
It
that
goes,
question.
it goes. What's interesting is there are many ideas on the internet. Maybe you're familiar with the new deep research tools that are all over the market. You can surface those really quickly. So charities themselves are innovating in various parts of the world. I think it's not about reinventing the most original ways to bridge that digital divide. It's actually having the charities and the club members that have seen it done have a place to share that information. So I will not express what I've seen innovative. I'm rather saying that through the program, our members and participating charities will tell their stories of how that can be solved.
Yeah. I think through this program, we really provide a lot of help for what is in the market. For example, many free tools in the market, they can apply. Secondly, also tell them there's a many good platform. They don't need to develop by themselves. Just go for local, out of the box charity platform. Yeah. And lastly, I think this program also make them to reach the private and charity to let them know, even private, even Microsoft, Google, we need to know what happened, what problem in the market. That's how we can leading the team to help the charity as well.
This was my recurrent question when I was a student developing smart city technologies, and I think in 2014 I was asked by United Nations what the system for planetary urbanism was called back then. So how can you plan cities to be healthy and prosperous for everyone? And there are two topics I think that can tackle digital division. The first one is conversational technology. So technology that you don't even need hands. It's not maybe not even digital anymore because you're not using your digits. um, you can discuss with the technology and it will solve your problems or act as an advisor. The second one is invisible technology. So technology that is doing the purpose for which the technology was designed without the need to interact with it. And here, for instance, we've done last year a project supported by the European Space Agency where instead of asking people how they feel in different places, especially people that had PTSD or Royal Marine veterans that were trying to do therapy in nature, instead of asking them questions and hoping they're telling whatever they feel, we added wearables and we anonymized that data and we're able to understand how they were feeling, combined data from wearables with satellites, and now they are able to even ask questions. What is the area that I feel good currently? Or if I want to go to a cafe, which cafe should I revisit? And they know that. So they don't need to have a master's in Earth observation or artificial intelligence or just spatial modeling. They just need to wear something and use their voice. And I think those kind of technologies are extremely important. And we see a lot of LLMs becoming more and more conversational. And to a point, it will be a matter also of not necessarily how to tackle digital division, but how to ensure that people will still be able to do the things they are intuitively doing without the need of technology. Because, for instance, if you're using mapping tools for navigation, our hippocampus, our part of the brain responsible for navigation, is actually shrinking. So it will be very important to know where to have technology replacing that.
Because of Google Maps.
No,
Sorry, sorry, Dan.
it's not their fault they're successful. So,
It's my favorite.
but it's going to be a matter of choice. Do we want to be helped, or do we want to be really independent with some tasks?
Very good. So what I'm hearing is it becomes like a human-centered approach to technology. The more human it becomes, the less friction and the more seamless the integration. There's a lot out there, and there's a lot of free stuff as well. And the more invisible it becomes, the more utility that we have, which also leads us quite seamlessly into the next question. Hello at the back, welcome. Thanks for arriving. Looking ahead, we kind of touched on this already, looking ahead, what emerging technologies or trends do you believe hold the greatest potential for creating positive social impact? And what ethical considerations should we be mindful of as we integrate these technologies into our programs?
Of course, AI. So I think people didn't know, as we're working for big company, the statistic, small company and charity actually adopt to using AI faster than the big company. The reason is big company always need to consider the compliance, the security before they use. However, the charity, the small company, they can just use. But you're right, when they just use, forget about the data will be lost or people steal the idea. So that's why we always ask for, even you using the AI, make sure you need to take the governance and responsibility and make sure using some good brand of the AI, don't using something you don't know. This is number one. Number two is definitely AI can help them to shape a lot of like video, fire, even marketing campaign. If you need to have any donation, you even don't know, you can just talk to the OpenAI, they can help you to generate the whole campaign, saving you a lot of time and also resources, because charity always limited resources and the time.
Very good. Sylvia, do you want to?
Sure, yes. So I think technology was, especially software and hardware, was dominated by silicon for a long time, in the last decades. And what I think is very exciting right now, from my opinion, is the developments in quantum. Not only quantum computing, but quantum materials, materials with quantum effects. For instance, there's some magnetic composites we are now testing that you apply on any surface and it purifies surfaces. That's one of the kind of invisible technology that instead of using an app or UV light, you just apply on a surface, and that technology is just using light just photons. Another aspect I think is very interesting is biological intelligence and synthetic biology. What that means is neurons that combine with silicon can run code. Imagine having not only the capabilities of AI, but capabilities of biological neurons that can create networks and can even create inferences much faster and with a much lower energy use. Our brain is not consuming a lot of energy, it's probably lower than a light bulb. And when you combine that biological aspect with silicon aspect, you have what we can call a symbiotic wisdom. So synthetic biology, quantum, and symbiotic intelligence, I think, will be very exciting in the future, especially when we reach a point where we can grow technology like we grow food. Imagine what that would mean globally. All those places that normally they have logistic issues or very hard to acquire technology, they can plant seeds and the technology will grow.
That's a future, and thank you, Sylvie, for portraying the future like aspirational. I think, Candy, you hinted on, you touched on the word, the buzzword. I mean, the most top of mind for everyone, which is AI. So I will take a step back and talk only about, let's say, this year. What's emerging is again AI, but AI in the sense that a lot of tools, particularly from entrepreneurs and small companies, are emerging because the cost of development or the way you develop such tools is decreasing or AI is enabling. So outside of AI for charities, let's talk about general solutions that maybe they couldn't afford, communication or use cases that they couldn't solve or they couldn't find an out-of-the-box solution. Now they're going to be much more accessible. So I think our job, our role, our opportunity is to provide that guidance. Here is what's available to you today. And by the way, how do we find out what's available today? All of us research. That's how we're doing it right now. We look at those, the advisors. There are 30 plus people that just came for the pilots to help. And we are researching and looking what's new, what's the latest thing, what's the free tool, what's the accessible tool that the charities can tap into. Utility, but also volunteer engagement and communication, marketing asset generation. There are new things coming every day, but it can also be overwhelming. So we need to build that bridge, and we have that credibility and that resource, if you want, human resource, to bridge that gap effectively between the charities and everything that's happening in the tech space, which even for someone in tech can be overwhelming.
Can be a bit scary.
It is.
Thank you, guys. And that leads us, again, very neatly to the last topic, which is collaboration, which is our final topic. And then we're going to move on to a little bit of the interactive couple of questions, where you've got a B or C answer that you can give. So the last topic, collaboration. Collaboration is key to Rotary Tech for Good vision. Let me say that again. Collaboration is the last one, I'm mucking it up, sorry. Collaboration is key to the Rotary Tech for Good vision. How can organisations, including Rotary clubs, best leverage partnerships with tech companies, NGOs, and community members to maximise the impact of their programmes? Diana.
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. I think I'm an optimist in nature and I look for solutions. So I think we have one opportunity, which is empower as many people from across the clubs to participate. Even in this pilot, we have multiple people with different views and different backgrounds and different clubs joining in and providing their perspective. That's one dimension of the collaboration. The second one is the point that I brought in the beginning, which is building a community that self-serves and grows. So it's kind of like the train-the-trainer model, where we make sure that the knowledge or the things that we develop through the program can then be spread, and that's how collaboration continues to grow. And thirdly, creating a community for the charities themselves, participating charities. They are at different stages when they join the program. Hopefully, after 1 or 2 editions, the playing field will get more leveled. So that I think it's also important to start building the community of charities that Rotarians support, whether it's through this topic or others. I think that's a powerful opportunity.
Right. We'll go to Sylvia and then we'll wrap up the candidate. Sylvia,
Yes.
collaboration.
A bit of trivia. Do you know who was the first astronaut on the moon?
Neil Armstrong.
Right. Do you know who was the first Rotarian on the moon?
Neil Armstrong, yeah.
Same person. I asked many astronauts, people working in extreme environments, what is the number one skill they need? And I was expecting things such as maybe knowing how to pilot a rocket or how to talk multiple languages. But the number one thing was actually collaboration, being able to collaborate with anyone. Maybe you don't even like that person, but being able to work with them so you have a successful mission. And another interesting, I'll try. Raise your hand if you never met in person your best friend.
Got one there.
Yeah.
Tentative.
Road traffic is very big,
So all your best friends, you met your best friend in person, right?
Yeah.
And I think what the pandemic done was creating a lot of barriers from that perspective and reminded us how important it is to meet people in person. It's not just because maybe the audio from Zoom is bad, but it's actually
That's why using Teams.
there is a
Or both. Both.
Exactly. So that's why it's so important to meet people in person. And I think what Rotary and Rotaract and Interact done very well is bringing people in person, because here's the thing. When we collaborate, the level of collaboration, it can be measured of how much people can trust each other in extreme situations or in challenging situations. And it's an interaction at hormonal level. You have to create those trust bonds. You need to be in the same room at least. If you shake the hand with someone, you will release more hormones that are creating a trust bound compared to just calling them on the phone, doing cold calling. So I think Rotary has an incredible global infrastructure that can expand trust between people. And that's something no tech will probably be able to replace.
Very good.
Very good. So for me, the so I think for me, it's not just we give it the service. I really enjoy, I understand more about the charity as well. Doing this exercise, we know about like David Law, what they do, fighting up. So many charity we hear day to day, but this is the moment we learn more about what they're doing. So while on this platform, I think the collaboration, not just ourselves, also the charity, I think that's the most important for us.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody.
Q&A.